think this will hopefully help understand this. But in a lot of ways, I'm arguing that parental alienation is like intimate partner terrorism. And we don't see the gender differences. In my work, when I look at prevalence, we don't see gender differences there in representative samples of US and Canada now. I just mentioned Canada's sample. I only see gender really mattering when we look at how it's being intervened, how we address it, how we perceive those behaviors as happening. And I think it's important we don't ask these parents of intimate partner terrorism to go and mediate with each other. I think it can make matters worse, as I said. And so, in an effort to more clearly explain for you why I have the opinion that this is intimate partner terrorism, I'd like to review some of the interdependence theory and the privacy, and then to show you what I'm seeing in my data that I've been collecting. So, interdependence theory, to give you a brief description, it describes the dependence and interdependence that people have on outcomes in the relationship. And it's typically applied to the study of dyads or couples. Probably the most famous extension of this theory is with the prisoner dilemma. Like 20-something, 30-something years of research on that issue, or that particular type of situation, and I'll get into that in a minute. But you have two people here, for example, who are dependent on each other for outcomes. Now let's say it's an abusive relationship where power is unequal, and couples don't get along, it's very toxic, and they decide to divorce, which is a healthy choice in that kind of a situation if they can't figure it out. And in that case, you can make a nice clean break, right? You can cut the dependence, cut the interdependence, and people can kind of go about their lives independently and not be relying on each other anymore. But it's not as simple when you add a child to that situation, or two, or three. Now you have many, many different kinds of interdependence that are operating, okay? So you have the less powerful children who are completely dependent upon the parents for outcomes. You've got the parents relying on each other to have a good relationship with their children. And you can have these less powerful children forming alliances with a parent or with another sibling to get more power. They form these coalitions to do that. And so then when these people divorce, okay, I thought your arrow was supposed to go away. But when they divorce, they're still completely relying on each other to have a relationship with their children. Okay, that they can't make a clean break. The interdependence is always going to be there. Now, in cases of parental alienation, we know that alienator does not want that anymore. They want nothing to do with that person, or so that you try to erase this entirely and cut them out, or they want them involved all the time so that they can keep exerting their control over them constantly. So we see kind of these two different approaches, and it'll be clear when I go over the situations that what that looks like. So in their book, I made these slides so long ago for this that I don't remember. So in their book, The Atlas of Interpersonal Situations, which was written by Harold Kelly and colleagues, they outlined that there's 4 or 5 different constructs or dimensions that you could look at in any human interaction. And those dimensions, when you combine them in different ways, create 21 possible situations. It seems kind of odd that you can apply this to any social interaction, but it's very true. I haven't seen anybody actually been able to find more. But these situations vary by the degree of interdependence that people have, the basis of their independence. So is it financial, is it emotional? We have the degree that the parties' interests match or mismatch, how much they want the same thing. We have the amount of information that the partners have. Like, do you know what that person's doing? Do you know what they're going to do? And then you also have the amount and the frequency in which you're going to interact. Do you only have to see that person once, or do you have to see them the rest of your life? So all of those things factor in to create these 21 different situations. And so now in my lab, what we've done, which was my big research idea, we took these 21 situations and we kind of identified how, or we discussed how these would look in a family that divorced and had children. So we created a coding scheme that we would use, just essentially to test some ideas to see what do these families look like. And then, the idea that this is a qualitative study that I'm going to describe. As you learned, I do both qualitative and quantitative methods. You have to select the method that matches your research question. So my research question here is very preliminary. It's just saying, what are we seeing? Because then this will then dictate the rest of this kind of line of research. And I can get into more quantitative measures. So we took all of these, we created a coding scheme, and then we applied them to transcripts that I've collected from parents who've been targeted, targets of alienation, or alienating behaviors. And so we have over 80 of them that we conducted. There are over 90-minute interviews of parents around the world. I won't go into a lot of details because I guess that's a little bit of time here. But we conducted these parents from all over, and we interviewed them, we transcribed the interviews, and so now we're going through all of them and looking for how people are describing all the things that they've been going through and applying this code book to them. And so, I'm going to go over the most common ones that we see. The first, most common one, is what we call asymmetric dependence. This power dynamic is one where one parent has all control over the outcomes of the situation, and the other parent can't affect any of the outcomes for the other parent. Okay. So here, one person really is calling the shots, and the other person has to follow along or comply. So the dependent person here is not only limited in affecting the other parent's outcomes, they can't even affect their own. And you can also see this played out with children, right? Children are completely dependent on a parent, and they can't control their own outcomes. So you can also see it played out that way. So this power dynamic is imbalanced and it's asymmetrical in both the level and the mutuality of it. So the more powerful person here can make unilateral decisions that affect the less powerful person. And there's two pure variations of this kind of dependence. The first one is an absolute form, where the dependent person can't do anything. They're pretty much immobilized. They're completely at their mercy. They're at the total mercy of the more powerful person, in this case, the alienated parent. The second pure type is what we call a jointly controlled form, where the more powerful person can decide to help the less powerful person if they want to, but only if they behave. So here they're kind of like a puppeteer. And as long as you comply, you can see your child today. But if not, sorry. If you give me some extra money today, give me a little extra on top of that, then you can see your kid. Sorry. So the other person is completely at the mercy of the alienated parent to see their child. So the less powerful person is, in this case, having to adjust their behaviors constantly. The alienated child is having to adjust their behaviors constantly to give the power holder what they want. Or otherwise, the only way they're going to get a positive outcome is if they do that, and if they don't do what they want to do, they face negative consequences. So this is, as I said, one of the most commonly described situations, particularly in more severe cases. In our coding, we found how does this happen? We see that there's a few ways that this has developed and it's gotten this extreme, because this is the most extreme form of power imbalance. First is through sole custody and decision making. Because in this case, the alienating parent has control over all access, all communication, and unfortunately, they will often exploit this position, and they will manipulate it and harm the other parent in the meantime. They make unilateral decisions without consulting with the targeted parent because they don't have to. They're not being required to or forced to. Now, there are situations in which asymmetric control has to be applied. So in cases where there is abuse, or maybe the parent has a substance abuse problem, or there's some mental health issues that interfere with parenting, in some cases there needs to be an asymmetrical control applied. Now you would hope in that situation that the parent with the control would not exploit it or abuse it, that they would still promote a healthy relationship in a safe way for their child to still have a relationship. But we know that the alienating parents don't do this. They will take advantage of their power, and that's when you can't see these. Sometimes you see these hybrid cases, but usually, mostly, you don't see that. The parent is just exploiting the situation here. Another way this happens is by gaining the loyalty of the child. If you can turn that child against the other parent, then the alienating parent doesn't really have to do anything. They can sit back and let that child just reject the targeted parent all they want. And now the targeted parent and the child, or the targeted parent is now facing the coalition between these two parents, and they have no control. So the type of person that Harold Kelly and colleagues have identified who does this kind of exploitation are usually people that have a personality disorder. They make it impossible to set aside their own needs for others, and that kind of fits the profile that we see in research on alienation. There's many examples of this. I can just list off thousands of them: cutting off all contact with children, cutting off communication, making false allegations of abuse to get all control and power of the situation, brainwashing, controlling information, restricting information about the child. I could go on and on and on. And unless this targeted parent has some sort of outside legal assistance or judicial help, they, in order to help maybe restructure the parenting plan or time or decision-making and force parenting time, they don't have the power to do anything. So how can a targeted parent, I ask you this, how can they reciprocate in this situation? They rarely see or talk to the child. The children are aligned with a more powerful parent. They defend them in a very reflexive way. So anything they even say that might be neutral about the part of the alienating parent, the child will defend them. Anything that the child, that targeted parent does, the child is looking as a reason to justify a rejection, because they have to. They're aligned with the alienating parent. So if a targeted parent does anything out of frustration, because this is a very frustrating situation, he's so powerless. So out of self-defense and frustration, anger, and just feeling horrible about this situation, you have to understand that this is much like the victim of intimate partner terrorism who's pushing back. It's not retaliation, it's just a defensive action. And that behavior needs to be interpreted in that context. It's not a reciprocated behavior. Just have some understanding of that. So, okay. So when we interpret or evaluate these kinds of families where this kind of dependence is happening, it's very important to understand the choices that the targeted parent has. In this case, there's not many, or anything at all. And mediation won't help here. I mean, the goal of a lot of mediators is to control the situation. And even though they have all control here, it's never enough. We know that for the very serious cases. Now, the second power dynamic that we see is chicken. This is a very common strategy that it's a deadly game of two contestants driving their cars at high speed into each other. So now one person pulls away, they're a chicken. If they both pull away, then they survive. But if they both keep going forward, they're going to crash and die. So this situation is a choice between a safer choice or a middle outcome, or it's not really a great outcome, but you know, it's a middle one. You both pull away and nothing happens, the situation is diffused, or a riskier choice where there's more extreme outcomes. Now, it can be really good if the other parent backs off, because then you survive. But the risky choice is the only choice that's going to get you a positive outcome in this situation. The safe choice results in you getting beaten. So these situations are more common when we have groups of people against an individual. So you can see a targeted or an alienating parent pairing up with a lawyer or family members and other things. When they form these coalitions, the game of chicken becomes even more likely. And they're more likely to persist until the end with those alliances. So chicken situations are commonly described by targeted parents as, like, in examples like trying to choose, trying to choose between whether they should go to court and battle something out. You challenge and they have to go and spend all their money, their life savings, to fight to see their children. Or if they walk away, then the alienating parent will say, look, they abandoned you. You're a chicken. You're a coward. You don't care. So this puts a parent in an impossible position. Because fighting for their rights can result in mutual destruction. And backing down has a lot of high costs. And it's also, we also see games of chicken at parenting time exchanges. I see this described a lot. Parents will go to the curbside or neutral location. The other parent will come out shouting and screaming and throwing stuff, banging on the car. And the parent is stuck, trying to get a rise out of the other parent. And the targeted parent has to make a choice of walking away or defending themselves. Oftentimes, if they defend themselves out of self-defense, that's used against them, and then the parent goes and gets a protective order. They push me. Or if they walk away, the parent yells and says, look, your dad's a coward. He's weak. Or your mom's crazy. Look at her, what's going on. So it's an impossible situation. So research indicates that narcissists are more likely to use this form of situation. It enhances their self-esteem by challenging and putting the other person down. And they will take advantage of others. If they feel insecure about themselves or the role of the parent, it's better to put them down. If they have unstable self-esteem, such as borderline personality disorder or other types of disorders, they're also more likely to do this, which, interestingly enough, sounds like something a lot of alienating parents are describing as having. So, but it's a no-win situation here for these parents with chickens. So, now, as an evaluator, mental health provider, or somebody outside, and you saw somebody doing that, somebody doing out of self-defense, standing up for themselves at a parenting time exchange, for example, how would you interpret that? Is that retaliation? Or is that reciprocity? Are they contributing to the problem? I ask you this, because you have to think about this context. How much power does this person really have to do anything? There's one instigator here, not two. Threat is another situation. It's very similar to asymmetrical dependence in that one person has control over the outcomes that result from the joint activities of the two parents. But it's different in that both of the parents are dependent on each other's decisions to act in a healthy way. So having a relationship with a child is contingent upon both parents promoting a healthy relationship. Okay? And so, now, but in threat situations, what we see is that one parent prefers to do the right thing. Let's say an alienating parent or a targeted parent hears the child talk about the alienating parent. They say, oh, good, they talk nicely about it, even though the alienating parent's doing all sorts of shenanigans in the background, right? Now, but that's not reciprocated. So in this case, the other parent is not, it's trying to undermine that, right? You have a situation where they are promoting their own self and not the joint benefit for both. So here, in this case, it's costly for the targeted parent to continue. So the targeted parent can either sit back and watch the relationship slowly erode away, or they can make a threat to challenge it and ask that parent to behave nicer and in a way that helps the children in a healthy way for both of them. You can only imagine how that backfires when that happens. So the alienating parent is acting very selfishly. They're acting for their own best interests. They don't care about the outcome for the other parent. So this targeted parent in this situation is being loyal to the relationship and to the children. They're trying to do the right thing, but the alienating parent is only allocating all the outcomes to themselves. So the targeted parent has to find a way to make this situation more just, more fair. They have to press for justice. It's the only option. Or watch it go away. So the targeted parent here might threaten to leave the relationship. This might be actually the precursor to the relationship ending. They might say, look, you're not helping, this isn't going well, you're not promoting a relationship. They end the relationship, which is of course exactly oftentimes what these alienating parents want, because now they can use it as a power play to get all control. The alienating parent wants that person to disappear, or to absolve themselves of their responsibilities in that situation. And it's so when the targeted parent then files a motion to get more custody or more parenting time, to enforce their parenting time, they're doing this to address the perceived injustice that's happening. They're not instigating conflict. Their action is just an attempt, as I said, to restore justice, and they're not reciprocating. This isn't a retaliation. This isn't a move to kind of create more conflict. It's a move to try to equalize their outcomes. So the last one I'm going to cover, there's so many, there's 21 of them, but these are the most common. This is the last one I'm going to talk about due to time. But this one is what we call conflicting mutual control. It's a very common dynamic, especially when you see shared parenting or more joint decision-making allocations, but there's still alienation going on. So this might be in kind of more mild or moderate cases, or early on in the divorce, and then we gradually get divorced. So this is commonly in the beginning. And the situation is such that both parents influence each other's outcomes, but they want different things. Okay. So oftentimes it's a zero-sum game. Nobody's going to get what exactly they want. So let's say they have to decide on where the child's going to go to school. There's only one school. You can't split it up half and half. They have to make a decision. One parent might want the child to go to a school closer to them. The other one wants them to go to the one closer to them. So they have to figure out a solution. And there's only one solution of where you can put that child. Now, the alienating parents here, or a parent who wants to do a power play, will withhold information. They might know how to manipulate the other parent or say what they want to hear in order to get what they want. And so it's a conflicting mutual control because both parents are trying to struggle to get what they want, and it sets up a very adversarial kind of situation where both don't want to tell the whole truth because they want to get the outcome that benefits them. And so oftentimes if you have a targeted parent who's trying to do the right thing, trying to really make a decision that benefits the child, and the other parent wants to exploit it, they'll withhold information, they'll lie to them, they'll not tell them everything, because they want to get, the goal is to get more control and make it more asymmetrical, right? So they will abuse this situation and then try to mislead them and get them to agree to something that then they later feel cheated out of. And when you sometimes see then targeted parents will be convinced by the lawyer of the alienating parent that maybe they should just agree to this parenting plan temporarily, and then when it goes to court, then we'll solve it all, we'll sort it all out. And this parent often thinks, I'm going to delay my gratification. And yes, I trust that maybe we'll work this out later. And no, that's never been the strategy. The strategy was to set up a situation where that targeted parent has no control, and then they have no way of getting it back. So ultimately, then the targeted parent in this situation feels cheated, and they lose the leverage that they had. So you see here it's a no-win situation, and you have to ask yourself then, if a parent is doing an alienating behavior, what you maybe consider it out of context, an outside person is looking what these parents are doing. This is a little more challenging to try to figure out. Is it an alienating behavior? Is it reciprocated? Or is it a strategy to try to self-defense and try to maintain your control? This one's a little bit more challenging to do a differential diagnosis, right? To really figure out what's going on. And so you have to really do the other one's a little bit more clear, I think you could probably see, to figure out what's happening. Now, again, I don't have time to explore all the other ones that we have, like prisoner dilemma is another one. It's very similar to this example. But I just wanted to show you this to highlight the importance of this theory and really helping to think through when we do assessments, when we do diagnoses, and other things. What is this power dynamic, and what has been the history of the power of this family? How has it shifted? What strategies have people used to get the loyalty of the child? How has that disrupted their power in that relationship? And I see that written all over the place in the alienation literature, but I've never seen a theory applied to it. So I hope that this will actually help do that. Because reciprocity is actually really not that, it's not possible to really do in a lot of these situations. The situations that really minimize the options of the targeted parent. They restrict the behavioral choices that we have. And so when a targeted parent acts badly, please just consider why they're acting that way. Is it just to kind of cope with the situation? Is it self-defense? Is it all those things? And so my request is really to consider that and consider the power dynamic that's been created. So what to do? I have 2 minutes. This is where I'd love to start talking with you guys about it. This is kind of a new idea. This is something I've been working on for like the last year, and I'll probably continue to work on this for a long time. But I would love to figure out how to apply this. I'm going to develop now a quantitative measure to try to use in assessments, and then maybe those assessments then can use to make informed interventions. And the interventions, I think, to address these families when they've been identified as having very serious power imbalances, how can we do mediation that's sensitive to that so it can't be exploited? Or how do we, create punishments for parents who are exploiting those behaviors? It seems like a lot of the strategies are really great when you have asymmetrical control and judges see that and they realize, oh God, this person is really exploiting the situation or really hurting these children, and then they reverse custody and flip it around. Great, that's one approach. But there's a lot of people who are in these other kinds of power situations. We need to see what those are, and we need to identify them and better treat them. And so we need a lot of empirical research, we need testing, and we need all of that. And so I hope to collaborate